If you remember, in last part we have started with the chapter oscillation. In that case, we have seen what is periodic motions and oscillations and vibratory motion, oscillatory motion. That part we have finished. We have taken some example of oscillations also. Apart from that, then we have seen the simple harmonic motion, linear simple harmonic, and in short, we have seen the definition of angular simple harmonic motion. Apart from this, if you remember, what we have done, we have just derived the equation, differential equation for linear simple harmonic motion, and from that differential equation, we have find out what? We have find out acceleration first, then velocity, then displacement. That part we have seen, and displacement we have find out at two places. When the motion start from mean position, motion start from extreme position. Let us start with the general equation of displacement that we have seen in last part. X equal to a sine omega t plus phi. Here x is displacement, a is the amplitude, omega is angular frequency, t is a time, phi is a phase. Okay. Now in this case, what we have to do here, we have to find out the velocity and acceleration from this displacement first. Then we will see maximum value of displacement, velocity and acceleration for particle performing linear simple harmonic motion. Let's start with the first this. As we have find out the displacement as this much. Suppose we know the displacement, we want to find out the velocity. Simple equation we know, v equal to, as we are going to find out the velocity now. So v equal to rate of change of displacement with respect to time. How can you find it out then? Just take a derivative of this term. Put the value of x here. So we can write this as d dt of a sine of omega t plus phi. Okay, out of which a is constant, we can take it outside. So we can write here a into derivative with respect to time of sine of omega t plus phi. This derivative we have to find out. Once we find out its derivative, we get the value of velocity. Is it clear? Now let's do. Those who don't have mathematics, don't worry. In derivative of mathematics, there are some formula. Derivative of sine omega t is cos omega t, and as it is composite function, first of all find out derivative of this sine omega t plus phi. Okay, that is first find out the derivative of function sine, then find out the derivative of this thing, this theta omega t plus phi with respect to time. So let's find out. So we can write this as equal to a derivative of sine theta is cos theta, that is mathematical formula in derivative. So sine omega t plus phi, it becomes cos omega t plus phi. As it is composite function into derivative of this theta omega t plus phi with respect to time t. Those who don't have mathematics, so it is composite function, so we have to find out for derivative of sine, that is cos we have written, then derivative of this term that we are going to find out. Now derivative of omega t is what? Omega. So we can write this as a cos omega t plus phi. It remains same. Okay. Derivative of omega t with respect to t is what? Omega, phi becomes 0. Take this omega here. So we can write this as a omega into cos omega t plus phi. What is this? This is the equation for velocity. We have derived this equation derived from this displacement. At the same time, we can derive the equation for acceleration now. It's very simple thing. How can we derive the equation for acceleration? It's simple. Rate of change of displacement is velocity. Rate of change of velocity is acceleration. So you can write one simple thing here. What is that simple thing? Just the derivative of velocity. So we can write a equal to dv by dt. Just put the value of v from this equation. We can write here d dt of, what is v? A omega cos of omega t plus phi. So this would be the equation. Now just find out derivative of this two. Once we find the derivative, what we get? We get an acceleration. Let's start with here. Now we get similar to this. First I will find out the derivative of trigonometric, then that of angle theta. Similarly, derivative of cos in mathematics is minus sine theta. So we can write this as equal to minus a omega sine, derivative of cos, we have find out sine omega t plus phi into derivative of this function that with respect to time d dt of omega t plus phi. Okay, Now why is minus sign? Because derivative of cos is nothing but a minus sin theta, minus sign taken first, and then we have written this equation. Again, this derivative becomes what? Omega, because this is 0. With respect to time it is. So we can take that omega here. So already there is one omega. Omega into omega, it becomes omega square. So we can write minus a omega square sine of omega t plus phi. This is what? This is the equation for acceleration. So in this fashion we can find out expressions for displacement, velocity and acceleration at a time, as they have just derived the same equation on page number 113 of your book at right hand side. Let's go further. What exactly the further thing is nothing but we want to find out the maximum value of displacement, velocity and acceleration. We have to find out maximum value of displacement, velocity and acceleration. So let's rub this part and let's start with this maximum value of displacement x, velocity v, and last one is the acceleration. Now here, if you remember, we know the two conditions. Initially we have derived the equations from the differential equation for displacement, velocity and acceleration that we are well known about that. Let's write down the equation for displacement first. Okay, then we will see the velocity. So first of all, I will write the equation for displacement here. So let's start with displacement. Displacement represented by x. So we will derive the equation for displacement here. Okay, then we will derive the condition, extreme condition or minimum condition. And here it becomes velocity represented by v, and finally at the last but not the least, it becomes acceleration represented by a. Okay, so I hope you remember the last formula that we have derived. First of all, write down the formula for displacement. What is the formula for displacement that we have already written? X equal to a sine of omega t plus phi. This is formula for displacement. At the same time, we can write the formula for velocity that we have derived in last bit. V equal to plus minus omega square root of a square minus x square. I hope you know these equations. Then we have derived the formula for acceleration. A is equal to minus omega square x. So this is the formula for displacement, this is the formula for velocity, and last, this is the formula for acceleration that already we have derived from differential equation. Now let's start with this displacement. Now in the displacement condition, just I will draw the one diagram first, diagram for simple pendulum, and accordingly we will find out the values. Now remember, there are two positions that already we have seen in case of displacement. Motion either start from mean position, or motion will start from extreme right or extreme left, or we can say it will start from extreme position. Let's take an example of simple pendulum. I will draw the simple pendulum here in this acceleration column. So let's draw here for sake of understanding. So this is nothing but a rigid support. To this it is a string, okay, and here it is a spherical bob. It is said to be bob, that is a simple pendulum. Now here this position is said to be mean position. If you remember, we have seen this part. Suppose I have moved this pendulum to this side and leave it. Okay, I have moved to this side. It becomes extreme left condition. And suppose that position will be this one, where the pendulum comes here. When I have hold it and move it here, extreme left. Similarly, this would be extreme right condition. Size of the pendulum might be same. We have hold it and move to this side and leave it. Okay, little bit you are getting these different sizes, but remember that might be suppose this and this, all of them have the same size. Same pendulum is here, and this is the mean position. This is said to be extreme right position. We move it to right side. It is said to be extreme left position. We move it to left side. Is that clear? Now the motion start basically from two conditions. Either it will start from mean position, or it will start from extreme position. I am saying the extreme. I am not saying right or left. Okay, what it may be. Here it is extreme, here also the extreme. So motion can be performed or start from the two positions, either from the mean or extreme. Basically motion is not starting, we started counting the time. When we leave it here, we start the stop clock, we can say motion start from extreme position. When the pendulum comes here and we start the clock, we say that motion start from mean position. Okay, that part also little bit we have seen. Now let's start with here. Suppose the two conditions are there, so we can divide this whole three column of velocity, acceleration and displacement by the two columns. So I have written this one first. First column will start with this. Second column I will write down this. Okay, and here left hand side of this x, we will write down the two places from where the acceleration start. Particle motion start. Suppose let's take first start from mean position. Motion start from mean position. Second, motion start from extreme position. Let's see what will occur and what are the conditions. Motion start from mean position and motion start from extreme position. Let's see how the condition get occur, that we have to see. Okay, so let's start with here. Suppose motion start from mean position means the motion in this diagram, it will start here. Okay, mean. What is the displacement? 0, because it is initial condition of pendulum. So x equal to 0 at mean position and x equal to plus a at right, x equal to minus a at the left. Or we can say at extreme position x equal to plus minus a, and at mean position it is 0. Is that clear? So as motion, we are going to consider first starting from mean position, then we'll go for extreme. So as motion start from mean position, x equal to 0, put it here. Put it here as x equal to 0. As it started, time is 0. Okay, x equal to 0, time is 0. So we can write this equation and find out the condition where the displacement is maximum, where the displacement is maximum and minimum. Now let's see, at mean position, if x equal to 0, what is that? At mean position, displacement x is 0. As it is 0 means what? It has a minimum value. It is called as a x minimum. At extreme position, if you see, extreme left or right, it is minus a plus a, or it is x equal to plus minus a. Extreme position. So we can write down at this extreme position, the value of displacement is x equal to plus minus e, and it is maximum value. It is said to be x max. Is that clear? Similarly, so this is the maximum value, this is the minimum value of displacement. Displacement is maximum at extreme position, minimum at mean position. Minimum value is 0, maximum value is plus minus e. Now let's start with the velocity with same. Now see, if we see these two parts, diagram and this velocity column, as we have moved motion start from mean position, we have leave the box here and started a count here, then we can started a counting a time here, then we can say it as a motion start from mean position. Suppose we have started counting here. Now bob will not stop here, as we have leave it from here, it goes here, again goes to this side. Okay, again go to this side, and at maximum value it stop for millisecond, nanosecond, it will stop. And suppose particle is, this bob is moving here with a velocity v plus v, suppose at this place it will stop and come back with a velocity minus v. Are you getting? Plus v minus v. So in between plus v and minus v, there must be somewhere 0. That is the velocity becomes 0. Where the velocity gets 0? At this point, where maximum distance it will cover, velocity is 0. So velocity is 0 at extreme position. Okay, and that is said to be minimum value of velocity. Velocity is maximum at mean position, and that's why this bob not stop here, it comes here also, and that is said to be Vmax. Velocity is maximum at mean position. So write down the equation for this, and what are the values that we have to see. Velocity is 0 at what? Extreme position. So we'll write down this first. V equal to 0. As it is 0, it has the minimum value. Minimum value. What is the maximum value of velocity? Velocity is maximum. Now how it becomes 0? Just put here x equal to plus a. Just put it here, x equal to plus a square minus a square, it becomes 0. That's why v minimum is 0. Now at mean position, velocity is maximum, that was said to be v max, and that can be written as x equal to 0. At mean position here, x is 0. Put this value here. So what we get? V equal to plus minus omega square root of a square minus 0. A square square root, come it outside, it becomes plus minus a square becomes a, outside the square root, omega. That is a maximum value of velocity. So velocity is maximum at the mean position, okay, and this velocity is maximum at a mean position, and velocity is minimum at extreme position. Minimum value is 0, maximum value is plus minus a omega. Similarly, you can find out the equation for acceleration. So I will rub this part, just find out the maximum acceleration and minimum acceleration. As here, it is very simple now to find it out. What is the maximum? That is, what is the equation for acceleration? Minus omega square x at mean position. This is the mean position, this is extreme position. So at mean position, what is x? 0. So 0 into omega square, 0. That's why at mean position, a equal to 0, that is said to be minimum value of acceleration. At the same time, extreme position, x equal to plus minus a. If you put it here, what is that? Plus minus a. Plus minus become minus. Minus minus become plus. So what is a? A has a maximum value at extreme position, and it is minus plus omega square a. Do you got it? Why it comes to be minus plus? It is a plus, it is minus here. Okay. If we put this x equal to plus a first, it becomes what? Minus omega square a. Or a omega square. It becomes a omega square with a minus sign. Put x equal to minus a. Minus a. If you put minus, minus becomes plus. So it becomes what? Omega square a. That is a omega square. So minus come first, then come positive. So we can write this as minus plus a omega square. That's why here we have taken minus first. That is the maximum value of acceleration. I hope you got this, because it is very simple to understand this concept. Let's revise once again. At the mean position, displacement first of all we will see. There are two positions, mean and extreme. Mean and extreme. This is formula for general formula for displacement. At mean position, x equal to 0, so it is the minimum value, that is at mean position. Extreme position, x equal to plus minus a, that we have seen in the diagram. Same thing. In case of velocity, velocity is maximum at what? Mean position. So at mean position, x equal to 0, put it here. So omega into square root of a square is omega square a, omega into a, that is said to be plus minus a omega. At maximum position, it is a omega. At mean position, at extreme position, the velocity is 0, because it goes positive, come back with negative. So it is 0 at the extreme position. Similarly, we have done the acceleration. At a mean position, displacement is 0. Put x equal to 0, we get acceleration is minimum. At extreme position, x equal to plus a minus a. If you put, the acceleration come to be minus plus a omega, that we have written here. So these are nothing but what we have seen, the maximum and minimum value of displacement, acceleration and the velocity at mean and extreme position. Remember, the displacement and accelerations are 0 at mean position. Displacement and accelerations are maximum at extreme position, while exactly opposite occur to the velocity. Velocity is maximum at mean and minimum at extreme position. I hope you got this. Let's go further. Now let's see the next topic that we have to cover here, that we have to learn the amplitude of SHM, okay, then period of SHM means time period of SHM, and last one the frequency of SHM. As we know, the amplitude is what? maximum displacement from the mean position, that is said to be amplitude. In case of simple pendulum, right hand side is plus a, left hand side is minus a. So what is amplitude? Just we can write one equation. Amplitude means maximum displacement. It would be represented by x equal to a sine of omega t plus phi. X equal to a sine omega t plus phi, and the amplitude means maximum displacement from the mean position, means we want to find the value of x, and we know the maximum displacement of bob of simple pendulum from the mean position is plus a to right side minus a to left side. So its value becomes what? X equal to plus minus a. That is a maximum displacement from the mean position, that is said to be amplitude of simple harmonic motion. Particle perform to and fro type of motion, pendulum, and its maximum displacement, suppose this mean position, it goes maximum here, so this distance is said to be amplitude, maximum distance, and that in our case it is plus minus a, that is said to be amplitude. Let's start with the period of SHM. So what exactly period of SHM? Let us suppose we have put in this equation, t equal to t plus 2 pi by omega. If we put this value t plus 2 pi by omega, let's see what we get here, 2 pi divided by omega. Put this value of t here in above equation. Rewrite the equation. What we get? X equal to a sine of omega, this omega, then t is there. What is the t that we want to put? T equal to t plus 2 pi by omega, bracket complete, plus phi. This is the value. Solve it. Multiply this omega to this. So what we get? A sine of omega t plus omega cancel, 2 pi plus phi. Is that clear? So we can write the same thing as a sine of omega t plus phi plus 2 pi. Sine of 2 pi plus theta is what? There is trigonometrical formula. Sine of 2 pi plus theta is sine theta. In our case, theta is what? This. Sine of theta plus 2 pi, or 2 pi plus theta is sine theta, means sine omega t plus phi. Just write down by that equation. We can write x equal to a sine of omega t plus phi. So we get this equation, which is similar to the initial equation from where we have started. What does it means? When initial equation is this, after that we have put t equal to t plus 2 pi by omega. T equal to t plus 2 pi by omega, means some time t is already here. This is equation for time t. After this much time, 2 pi by omega, equation remains same. Equation remains same means what? Motion repeat itself. For time period t, this is the equation after the time period t plus this 2 pi by omega. So this 2 pi by omega is the time after which motion repeat. Suppose the second hand is on 12, start moving, okay, start moving, again come on the 12. What is the value? 60 seconds it will take. Okay. Similarly, here when pendulum start performing to and fro type of motion, it goes here, come back, goes here, again come back. Then one motion created. See, one oscillation created. It start, goes here, again come here. Half part is completed. Again goes here, again come here. How much time is required? The time required for this one oscillation is 2 pi by omega. So what is this 2 pi by omega? 2 pi by omega is time period. Time period or period of SHM within which the one set of movement get complete. After that, movement repeated again and again. Okay, same set repeat again and again. That we have seen the periodic motion. So same thing. So we can write here small t equal to capital T, time period of simple harmonic motion, equal to 2 pi divided by omega. Remember this equation, time period t equal to 2 pi by omega. Now here if you remember where this omega comes, when we have derived the equation for simple harmonic motion, differential equation of simple harmonic motion, at that time we reached to one point, that is K divided by M equal to omega square we have put. If you remember, K divided by M equal to omega square that we have put, and then we have solved it. Then we get a differential equation of linear simple harmonic motion. Apart from this, what is K? Force constant. From where it comes? We have one equation, F is equal to minus Kx. For a sec, let us suppose, just for a sec, neglect this minus sign. F equal to Kx. What is K equal to? From this implies that K equal to F divided by X. X is a displacement, F is a force. It is said to be force per unit displacement. Put this value of K here to here, this equation. Put it here. So we can write omega square equal to what? K is F divided by X divided by M. Okay. Or we can write the same as F divided by M into X. Okay. Or we can write the same here as force per unit displacement divided by M. Force per unit displacement divided by M. Now why it's M comes here? Force per unit displacement F divided by X, that we have kept the value of K here. Okay, it comes to be F by X divided by M. Force per unit displacement, this force per unit displacement divided by M. Okay, so that force per unit displacement, again the Newton's formula, if you remember, F equal to ma. This implies that A equal to F by M. F by M is what? A. See, force divided by M. This F by M is acceleration. Okay, put it here. Then we can write the same thing we can write here. A divided by X. Acceleration per unit displacement. It is said to be acceleration per unit displacement. Now what can we do here again? This is the for omega square. What is omega then? What is omega then? A by X means what? We can write square root of A by X, that is said to be acceleration per unit displacement. Acceleration per unit displacement, omega means. Now we have find out the value of this omega. Put it here. So we can write T equal to, we can write the formula T equal to, what is this? 2 pi divided by omega's value is square root of acceleration per unit displacement. Acceleration per unit displacement. Is that clear? Or directly from this omega square, we can write the value of omega from this equation. This implies that omega equal to square root of K by M. We can put this also here. So if we put that value, what we get time period? T equal to 2 pi divided by square root of K by M. It means what? 2 pi square root of M divided by K, reciprocal of this. So this is the equation for time period of simple harmonic motion. The particle which is performing to and fro type of linear simple harmonic motion, its time period is given by this equation. Okay, it's very simple actually. So if you have to see what we have done here, we'll revise. So first of all, we have put here what we have done initially. We have put this value T equal to, in this displacement equal to X equal to A sin omega T plus phi. Put here T equal to T plus 2 pi by omega. Solve it. We have solved this equation. We get this sine of theta plus 2 pi is sine theta. In our case, this is theta. So we get A sin omega T plus phi. And this equation is exactly similar to initial equation. So we can say the motion repeat itself after this time 2 pi by omega. The motion repeat. So this is said to be periodic time, after which motion again starts same. So this is a T. So we can write this T small t equal to capital T equal to 2 pi by omega time period. Now how can we write the omega? Initially, if you remember, when we have the equation for differential equation of simple pendulum, differential equation of linear simple harmonic motion, k by m equal to omega square we have kept. Apart from, we know the one formula f is equal to minus kx. For a sake, suppose minus sign is neglected, we can write k equal to f by x. Put force per unit displacement k equal to. So we can write this as f by x divided by m equal to f by m into x. That is said to be force per unit displacement divided by mass. But by Newton's second law, F equal to ma, mass into acceleration, acceleration equal to what? Force divided by mass. Now see here, force by mass is what? Acceleration. So we can write it is equal to acceleration per unit displacement. And this is nothing but what? Omega square. So omega equal to square root of acceleration per unit displacement. Same thing I have written here. Put the value of omega. 2 pi divided by square root of acceleration per unit displacement. Apart from this, directly we can write the value from this equation. K by m is omega square. Omega equal to square root of k by m. If you put this value here, if you put it here, what we get is equal to 2 pi divided by square root of k by m. That is 2 pi into square root of m by k. That is said to be time period of particle performing simple harmonic motion. I hope you got this. Now we have to see the third part. That is nothing but what? Frequency. See, the two part we have finished. The amplitude, period we have finished. Let's go to frequency. What exactly the frequency means? And that frequency we have to see. How can we see the frequency? Just see. If you remember, frequency means what? Number of cycles per unit time. Number of cycles performed, number of oscillations performed by particle in unit time. That is said to be frequency of SHM. Number of cycles performed, number of oscillations performed per unit time is said to be frequency. Now here, another way we can say reciprocal of time is frequency. In short, we have the equation of time as this much. Take its reciprocal. What we get? Frequency. So we can write here F equal to 1 divided by T. Reciprocal of time is called as a frequency. What is time? This equation. Put it here. We can write this equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of k by m. And that is nothing but a frequency of SHM. Particle perform oscillations per unit time, and that is said to be the frequency. Reciprocal of time is called as frequency. Just put the value of t from this to here. We get F equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of k by m. In this fashion, we have just find out the frequency, the amplitude first, then what we have find out? Time period or period of SHM, and then we have find out the frequency of SHM. I hope you have got this point. Now in your book, they have started with the one topic, that is they have taken springs. Two springs connected one after other, that is in the form of series combination, and if they are connected parallel to each other, how to find out the value of resultant constant, that we have to find out here. So this, suppose in your book such type of springs they have shown. I hope you got these springs from the book. Did you see it? So this part that we have to cover now. What exactly they have done? So see, don't use your brains that much. You have to remember one thing only. When the springs are connected one after other in series combination, just like a series combination of resistance we have seen. But here are the springs, so we can write them actually like this. This is the first spring, suppose. Okay, this support, then followed by second spring. Either you can write vertical part like this, or we can write this as a first spring, then this as a second spring. This is said to be series combination, horizontal series combination, vertical series combination. That is, we can say the springs are connected in series. Now suppose both the spring has different spring constant. Both the springs are not same. It has a spring constant K1. It has a spring constant K2. Same here. K1, K2. Okay, when we stretch here, when we apply some load here, W equal to mg in downward direction. When we apply the load here, W equal to mg. Remember, as the spring constant K are different for this K1 and K2. What does it mean? Either this spring is small or this spring is large. Or in short, dimension of both the springs are different. Common sense then, when we apply some weight, the spring who has less dimension stretch more. The spring which has large in dimension stretch small. That thing we have to learn here. So this, out of this K1 and K2 spring constant, if K1 is small, this elongation is more. K2 is large in dimension, elongation is small. Now we have to find out. These are the two, K1, K2. What is resultant? You have to remember simple thing. That is Ks. Resultant spring constant in series combination is equal to, that can be written as 1 by Ks equal to 1 by K1 plus 1 by K2 for two springs. If there are n number of spring, plus 1 by K3 plus so on up to n number of spring, that we can just write down like this. If the two springs are there, we can solve this part only. We can write this as K1 into K2 divided by K1 plus K2. The spring constant, sum of spring constant, that will give the resultant spring constant Kx. Here it is Ks. We just find out K1 into, this is reciprocal of Ks, this is Ks for two spring, K1 into K2 divided by K1 plus A2. Remember, this formulas only when the springs are connected like this or like this in series. Okay, and similarly, exactly opposite formula for springs are connected parallelly. Parallelly means what? As in your book they have shown one simple that type of example. Suppose rigid support. Okay, to this rigid support, just we have applied the spring here and here. They are said to be parallel and both combinedly applicable to some load here. It has spring constant K, it has spring constant K1, K2. Okay, K1, K2, then we have to find. This is the first case they have shown. Second case, another way, they have shown parallel means what? One rigid support here, spring, load, again the spring, again here the rigid support type of thing. So that is said to be springs are connected in parallel. These are the example of parallel. So in that case, what is the resistance? What is the resultant spring constant? That is said to be K suffix P, as the springs are connected in parallel. Now we have to find the formula. It should be what? Two springs, it is K1 plus K2. If n number of spring, plus K3 plus so on up to n. Just add them directly. That will give the resultant spring constant if they are connected in parallel. If they are in series, take its reciprocal and their addition. So this much simple topic you have to remember that they try to explain you. No need to read anything. Just remember the formula. That's it. Now let's start with the reference circle method they have mentioned in your book. What is this reference circle method? Now remember, it's a little bit complicated to explain this part. But basically why they have taken this reference circle method to explain you projection of simple harmonic motion. It result into projection of simple harmonic motion is result into uniform circular motion, or we can say uniform circular motion of the rod in a circle along the circumference of a circle result into SHM. Circular motion, uniform circular motion along a circumference of a circle result into uniform circular motion result into linear simple harmonic motion, means to and fro. Circular motion result into to and fro straight line motion, that they try to explain here, and for that they have taken this reference circle method. I will try to explain you. Suppose this is circle. Okay, circle, this is x-axis, this is a y-axis. Okay, now here are two things we have to do. From to the x-axis, suppose I have this torch or light. I am going to apply exactly parallel to x-axis like this. Suppose I am going to apply this torch exactly parallel to x-axis, goes upward like this, comes downward like this, but it must be parallel to x-axis. While doing this, along this circumference, one rod is performing uniform circular motion. Uniform means what? This rod is moving along circumference of a circle, along the circumference of a circle with a constant velocity. It is moving with a constant velocity. Constant in the sense the magnitude is constant. Then that type of motion of this rod is said to be uniform circular motion. At the same time, we are applying light from this side parallel to x-axis, going up with the rod, coming down with the rod. At this position, what we have to see, suppose I have these two panes. Suppose this is rod. Okay, this is rod. I am going to use a torch here, exactly parallel to this. When I use a torch exactly parallel to x-axis, the tip, this tip, shadow of the tip comes somewhere here. This shadow comes somewhere here, or it will comes here. On this y-axis, it comes here. Tip, shadow of the tip comes at the y-axis. Then in that case, as we move this rod upward, that shadow also move upward. When we move the pen downward, shadow will move downward. And that is nothing but as pen start here, when we move as apart up to this point, then shadow will move up to this point. After that, when we goes downward, shadow will move accordingly. I know that you don't got this topic. Don't worry, I will try to explain in another way what exactly it is. Suppose this is a particle P. The particle is P. Okay. What we have done, we have drawn one line from the center of this circle, that is O, to the point P. This is the position of particle P. Particle P is performing anti-clockwise direction. It goes like this, again comes like this, again go like this. Such type of motion it is. Okay. Now this is the angle made by it. This is the angle made by the position vector of P with the x-axis. Angle made. When suppose P is here, what is angle? Suppose this angle is theta. When the particle is here, what is its angle with respect to x? It is 0. When we goes up, angle increases. At this point, it is maximum. Suppose it is F. Here it is maximum, it is 90 degrees. At this point, what they have taken in your book? This as a G, this as a H. When particle P comes at this point, what is the angle? This much. It is 180. When it comes at H, it is what? 270. When it comes at this point, what is that they have taken it as E? At this point E, the angle becomes 360. Do you got this? It becomes 360. Now here, how this angle changes and it will make a linear motion. That is important point. Suppose particle is here. When particle is here, okay, angle is 0. When particle comes here after some time, just I have one thread, flexible elastic thread or rubber we can say. I have tied that rubber here to here. And precaution should be taken that rubber must be straight line. As position of the particle changes, this rubber must be stretched. Okay, particle P comes here, so this straight line, this comes here. Particle P goes here for next step. Okay, so this becomes like this. Its projection becomes here. And this straight line of rubber, or that rubber itself, it is said to be projection. So these are two are said to be projection. Projection of that particle, okay, that we have connected by the spring. In short, when the particle is here, angle is 0 and rubber is here like this, and rubber is here like this at this point. It shows the position projection. This projection comes here. When particle goes here, its projection, this point move from this place to this place. It goes here. Are you getting? When the particle move from this position P1 to new position P2, suppose P1 to P2. Now initially it is at P1 here. When it goes here, this move along with here. Are you getting? Again when it comes here, it remains at the same point. Okay. Again from this, it goes in this direction. As particle comes here, projection, so we can write this like this, this would be the projection. Particle comes here, we can connect it, this would be the projection. Particle comes here somewhere, we can connect it like this would be the projection. In short, when particles start from E, it will complete one rotation and come back to E. What this projection will do? Initially start here, projection start here. It goes here, projection goes up to this. When particle comes up to this, projection comes back to this. Okay, half part is completed. When particle goes here, projection goes here, up from this to this point. When particle comes at E, one rotation get complete and this projection move from this to this place. Means one oscillation get complete. That I would like to tell you. I know that a lot of students didn't understand this, so I will try to explain once again. When particles start at E, its projection is at O. Suppose I will draw it somewhere here. Suppose this is a circle. I know that it is not look like to a circle. Suppose it is a circle, such type of thing. This is E, F, G, H, O. Particle is here, its projection is here. Particle goes here, projection, here particle comes, projection is here. Particle comes here, projection is here. Means see, initially it is here, so point becomes, projection point will be here. At P suppose, at P1, particle move from P to P1 after some time, projection move from O to O dash. Particle move from P1 to new position P2, projection move from O to new position O dash. Okay, now suppose particle comes at point F. Where is the projection? At its own position. Here is a projection, here is a particle. Exactly at the same time. Oh, both are at the same point. So what will occur? When particle move along this circumference from E to F, this point, this projection move from O to F. It moves upward within this 90 degree angle. Within this 90 degree angle, it moves up. Next part here, this remaining 90, it again come here. So it goes up, again come back here, same point, same line. It come back here within this, where the particle will be here. Particle goes here, again it goes down. Particle comes at this place, again it comes up. So particle start here, again come back at the same point. One rotation get complete. What will occur with the projection? Projection start here, goes up, come down, again goes down, again comes up. So one oscillation get complete. And this explain that particle at this P along the circumference performing uniform circular motion. This particle is moving along the circumference of a circle, so it is performing the circular motion, but its projection is doing what? Up and down type of motion. And up and down, it is in straight line, so this is said to be simple harmonic motion. So what is the interesting thing to remember? This uniform circular motion of particle result into up and down motion of its projection. So this uniform circular motion, its projection perform a linear simple harmonic motion. That they want to try to explain you in this topic. Okay, same thing they try to explain with the help of a reference circle method, but it's quite difficult to understand this. But I hope that you learn it or you understand this in terms of particle is moving, how the projection moves up and down. Okay, now let's go to the next part of the same topic is there. Next part of the same topic. Let's go further. Projection of SHM. So let's see from the same topic, what is my projection of SHM? So see, suppose this circle, particle is performing uniform circular motion along the circumference of this circle in anti-clockwise direction. It start here, goes up, again comes here, again down, up. This anti-clockwise direction. You can take clockwise also, doesn't matter, but according to book will go. It is going anti-clockwise direction. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Okay. Now initially, when we start counting the time t equal to 0, particle is here at a point P0. Okay, and I have drawn this vector OP, the position vector, which will represent the position of particle with respect to origin. OP0 at time t equal to 0. Suppose it will make an angle phi, this angle phi, with a x-axis. After some time, what will occur? Particle never stop here because it is performing uniform circular motion. It will move from P0 to P. particle move from this P0 to the new position P, and it will trace a much more angle. This is phi. When it will move from P0 to P, it will make an angle this omega t. What is the total angle then from the x-axis? Phi plus omega t, or omega t plus phi. Phi plus omega t or omega t plus phi, and that is suppose equal to theta. So this angle with x position of the particle at point P with respect to x, the angle is theta equal to omega t plus phi. Is that clear? Now we have to draw the projection on y-axis from the point P. So I have drawn it here like this. I have drawn this projection here, and that projection will touch to the y-axis at point M. That will touch to the y-axis at point M. Now see, initially when particle at P0, at point P0 at time t equal to 0, we can draw its projection. As I have told you initially, projections comes here somewhere. Suppose M0, original position of the particle, P0, position is M0. Okay. When it goes upward at point P, angle is theta equal to omega t plus phi, and here angle theta equal to omega t plus phi, and the projection is what? PM. Projection shifted from M0 to M. Suppose this angle theta is 0. Suppose this angle we have made, it is 0. Where this particle comes? It comes at point E. It comes at point E. So we can write this is the radius vector, theta equal to 0. Where is the projection? Where is the projection? It is exactly at point O. When it is shifted to P0, projection move to M0. P, projection move to M, and so on. In this fashion, as particle move along the circumference of a circle from a point E to F, what will occur? Projection move from O to F. When particle move from F to G, projection move from F to O again. When particle move from G to H, projection move from O to H. Particle move from H to E, complete one rotation, projection move from H to O. So when particle perform one circular motion, one rotation completed, this projection move up and down, again come to the same place. One oscillation get complete, and that is said to be projection of UCM as a SHM. The projection perform a simple harmonic motion while particle is performing uniform circular motion. In this topic, what we have to do? We have to find out projection of displacement. We have to find out projection of displacement. For that, I have drawn here. If this angle, now just I will erase this part. If this angle is theta, then this would be theta. Adjacent angle we can say. Adjacent angle or one line angle, that is said to be something. So this is theta, this must be theta. Okay. Now our aim is what? Our aim is to find out displacement. For that, suppose this circle has all these are nothing but what? Radius. Suppose it is R. OE is R, OP0 is R, OP is R. That distance remains same because it is radius of circle. Now just see in this triangle. Let's see triangle OPM. Let's see in this triangle. O to P, P to M. Just concentrate on this triangle. What will occur? Sine of theta. Find out sine of theta first. So what we get here? Sine theta. So what is the sine of theta? Sine of theta is what? Opposite side divided by hypotenuse. Opposite is OM. OM divided by hypotenuse is OP. That is equal to what? OM divided by R. OP is R. Find out the value of OM. So sine theta equal to OM by R. What is OM? This equation implies that OM, distance O to M, shift of projection, OM equal to what? R sine theta. R sine of theta. But what is theta? Omega t plus phi. So we can write this as R sine omega t plus phi. And this thing, this as it shifted from center O, and that distance is suppose OM, this distance OM from O to M, Suppose we have represent this distance in terms of y, because it's along y-axis. If it's along x-axis, it is said to be x. So we can write y equal to r sine omega t plus phi. This is the equation for projection of displacement. Now see, don't read much more this, because if you read it, it is quite difficult to understand the things they have just mentioned. The same topic, little bit they have explained very well manner according to them, but I think it is a little bit complicated. So it is quite difficult to understand this topic if we read this whole. So it is not essential to read it. Just remember the equation, projection of displacement. From this triangle we have find out sine theta, find the value of OM. OM is nothing but y, and y equal to r sine omega t plus phi is said to be projection of displacement. Similarly, there is one next diagram 5.5. No need to go to diagram. Directly find out the projection of velocity. What is the velocity we know? This is a displacement in our case. Okay. Velocity is what? Rate of change of displacement with respect to time, dy by dt. Take its derivative. No need to go further. So what is this? R into derivative of sine is cos. Cos omega t plus phi into derivative of omega t plus phi with respect to time. This comes to be omega. Phi is constant, derivative of constant is 0. Let's see. So this omega will write first. We get here r omega cos of omega t plus phi, that we get a velocity after taking a derivative of this y displacement. We get a velocity. Can anyone tell me how to find out acceleration then? It's very simple. Acceleration means what? The rate of change of velocity. Take its derivative of velocity, we get acceleration. So I will write it here somewhere. So A equal to dv by dt. They have mentioned in our book projection of acceleration. That is nothing but acceleration we want to find. Put the value here. d dt of v means velocity. Put the value of velocity. It comes to be r omega cos of omega t plus phi. Take its derivative. I hope you becomes bigger now. You must develop yourself, grow yourself. I hope you can just tell me directly the derivative of this term. I hope. Anyone please guess? So it would be A equal to R omega is constant. And of this composite, it comes again omega. R omega square. Derivative of cos is what? Sine theta. Sine omega t plus phi. But derivative of cos is minus sine omega t plus phi. So this minus A equal to minus r omega square sine omega t plus phi. So this is the formula for derivative. So this is the formula for acceleration. Now the question comes here. Sine omega t plus phi is here. If you remember here, if you see sine omega t plus phi, or we can see here as we have derived initially, r sine omega t plus phi, it is what? Y. R sine omega t plus phi, it is nothing but simply the y. So what we can write? This remains as it is. But in case of acceleration, r sine omega t plus phi and this r together, it is y. So we can write A equal to minus omega square y. That is equation for acceleration. I hope you got this equation. After that, we have to see the phase of SHM. But I think today, up to today, this is sufficient. In next period, we will see the phase of SHM, and after that, the next topic we will see in next period, because it is quite complicated now to take, because already we have done a lot of topic we have covered. So I hope that you understand this. Remember, if you are going to start your study, it is essential to start. Just see the video first, and according to video, whatever you got, I know that 100% you didn't get from the video. Whatever I am going to taught you here might be 6%. Some of you may get 10%. Some of you didn't get anything. Still watch the video. After watching, try to read the same topic from your book. Suppose somebody got 50% of understanding by going to look at the video. You got 50% understanding. After that, when you start reading that topic, you get much more understanding. 50 get converted into 80%. Second time if you read, it becomes 90%. Third time we will read the same topic, it becomes 100%. So in this fashion you have to do. But remember that I have told you at some topic, that is especially reference of circle method and the projection of displacement, that thing they have mentioned in your book. In that topic particularly, it is essential to read it directly. Just I have told you how to remember the projection of SHM. Remember it like that, because if you try to read it, you didn't get anything. I don't think you understand that topic, because the language they have used lot of complicated and they have made lot of confusion according to me. So it is better to remember directly the equations. Displacement, once you get from this diagram, displacement you get, take its derivative, you get velocity. Take the derivative of velocity, you get a acceleration. That's it. That much topic is you have to remember. Okay, I hope that you got what exactly I have taught you today. If you consider the length of video is now, it is 1 hour approximately, but if you look at your book, we have completed only 2 to 3 pages. That is, our speed is very small. We must increase our speed. So these are the first 2 to 3 videos, so the speed is little bit less. Next topic we have to speed up ourselves, otherwise we can't complete the syllabus. I hope you understand the seriousness, and I hope that all the students are going to see my videos, and accordingly you have started reading the book and started preparing yourself. Okay, thank you, be safe. Let's see in the next video. Thank you.